Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jim and Sam Town Square. I'm Scott King. Jim and Sam fans know me from the Forbes articles. And I'm usually joined by multi-Emmy Award-winning TV producer Chris Cangilla. But Chris is in Colorado right now. We're going to hear from him all the way in Colorado later in the show. And in this episode, we're recapping week 1 of September 2023. And I always say it's a great week, I feel like we had one of the all-time best weeks because we had one of the all-time best shows with a very special guest that was long overdue to be in studio. You know who I'm talking about. We'll get to him later. The man, the myth, the legend. But it was great to have the guys back on Tuesday after Labor Day. And, you know, we got some love. I'm not going to lie. We love seeing it. We love getting the show support from Jim and Sam. We got a retweet from Sammy Brand Muffins himself. As we said during Miguel from LA's interview in our last episode, if you haven't listened to it, you should. Some great inside stuff on the show. Miguel from LA, a great caller who does the Jim and Sam dank memes on Instagram, always hilarious. But we knew Sam was a fan of Miguel, and Miguel got Sam just his appeal, his cachet. Sam retweeted the interview. So thanks to Sam for doing that, and thanks again to Miguel for coming on and doing a great interview with us. And now for this week, we heard more kind of early on about Airplane Jimmy, my new favorite Jimmy that we've heard about a little more, I'd say the last few months. And this time Jim was not only tweeting a picture from an airplane, but also writing some poetry with it that Sam read on the air. And just a fantastic Jimmy, very pensive, very well spoken, likes to think a lot. And a good reason it was good to have Airplane Jimmy on the show was that Jim got to break down the recent diarrhea plane, which was an absolutely horrendous thing that happened on an airplane. There was a tracking of some doo-doo long up the aisle to the bathroom. We heard about Jim's puke plane incident where he sat in the puke seat. So it was good to get his take on it. Just a disgusting abomination of a situation. I think Chris would call it a situation. That's for me the worst code brown I've ever seen or heard of. Absolutely disgusting. Good to get the guys' reaction on that, as we like their takes on current events. That was one that was just right for the show. And the guys, and we had Troy on fire again, trying to get to the bottom with some issues with IT on the phone. And the guys were hearing him giving IT the business, which they should. I feel like ever since going back to an issue, I think this might have been in the late O&A days or some early Jim and Sam, where Troy needed some help with something. It was, I believe, software involved for the show, and he got IT on the phone, and they told him, I think a guy even came to the studio, check it out, and just said, it's a computer. And that was IT's help at XM. They're doing a bang-up job. I hope they keep it up. I also appreciated Troy making fun of Travis's small talk with guest Kim Condon. She was recently on the show. She came back. We'll talk a little bit more about her later. Troy said that Travis was probably asking her, "Are you on the gram?" Which very funny, very hip thing to do if Travis did do that. And speaking of Travis, I feel like I'm going a little fast without Chris. That might happen. Usually he steers me the right way. But I'll say that in regards to Travis, a caller called and put him on the spot about a guy we've been following since day one when he started the show, Coop the intern. We were recently promised before Labor Day that Travis, who didn't know until later that Coop would be done and be on break, caller asked when he's coming back, and Travis said next week. So, you guys are listening to this weekend. We might have Coop as early as Monday coming back. And I hope when Coop is back, we incorporate something that was a phrase for Coop that was coined on the show this week, which is Coop Scoops. They were, of course, talking about such things Coop brought to the show as the audio from the submarine deep underwater before it exploded, when it lost communication. The man was yelling help, which was, of course, a ruse that Coop fell for. But Coop Scoops, I forgot who came up with that on the show, but I hope it happens regularly. That sounds fantastic. What a great bit that would make. But Coop is amazing. I can't wait to hear him back on the show this upcoming week. And with Coop on break, there was a little debate, and had a very beginning, middle, interesting beginning, middle, and end, I should say. And Sam told Bobby that sabbatical was not the correct term from taking a year off of college, that it was gap year. And once the research was being done by, I assume, Travis, and it was completed, Sam immediately wanted to change the subject. And I did do the research myself. I had thought when Bobby said sabbatical that was correct. I also would have accepted gap year, championed by Sammy B. Muffins and Travis. But I guess when I researched as well, they are interchangeable. It can be a sabbatical, as Bobby Kelly said, or I'm sorry, yeah, he said sabbatical, and Sam called it a gap year. So either one's okay. Whatever you want to call this year of self-discovery that Coop has been doing, we know he's just going to come back smarter and bring in more to the show. And we did absolutely love Coop, the intern. So glad he's going to be back. I hope he's back for a while and is kind of like maybe even some type of mainstay on the show. Also with Bobby in that break where they were talking about Coop, and this was on Sam's birthday. Sam's 40th birthday was this past Wednesday, and that's quite the milestone. But Bobby let on that a couple of years ago, he did a kind of just an Instagram shout out, because Bobby is an influencer, as we learned on the show, that he really liked this pillow a company sent him. And so he gave him a little shout out video. And 2 years later, they're using that video for a full out commercial repeatedly. Other guys on the show have seen it on social. So it's in their algorithms. So Bobby is left to feel like, maybe I should get a little something for my trouble, maybe a little more here, which brought to light that he may or may not be, as I don't think they said this on the show, but I'm going to call him Free Commercial Bobby, because he did cut a free commercial with his son Max and himself for the pillow company. I think he said it's a Cube pillow. I don't know if that's the name of the brand, Cube pillow, but I'm also a side sleeper. I guess that's supposed to be very good for side sleepers, a Cube pillow. So Bobby and Max cut the commercial, and I guess Bobby, not only did he complain about this on Jim and Sam, he's complained about it on other podcasts. So the company heard and emailed Bobby 2 years after he gave him a shout out video for the pillows, saying, "Hey, we heard you're a little unhappy." So Bobby said he hasn't recently had time to get back to the pillow company, but as a favorite character of ours used to say, how about a little cake for the chippa? So how about a little cake for Bobby, perhaps, for making these commercials? And maybe he'll be more careful, especially when he incorporates an immediate family member into these commercials. Maybe make sure that everything's on the up and up in case it gets recycled and used for mass marketing. You do want to get some money for your troubles, your talent, and your time. And we know everything Bobby does with his podcast empire, and he loves gadgets. He knows this, and he was reminded in this instance. So speaking of Wednesday, when Bobby Kelly was on the show for Sam's birthday, and Bobby, I got to point out also, he had himself a time, got a rub down. A shoulder rub down. You can see that on Twitter and on Jim and Sam's socials from Mike Montone. Mike, whose eye is a little better now, as they also went over. Bobby got a rub down and really enjoyed it. But Sam's 40th birthday, what an extravaganza. My dear God. Full marks to Travis Teft, who seems to have set up a lot of it and brought a lot of goodies in that Sam enjoys. I wish he would have enjoyed a little more in studio. I know it was early, but he should have had himself some Raising Cane's in the studio. I was just looking, because of the show this week, I've said I also frequent Raising Cane's because I heard them rave about it on the show. I was just looking on DoorDash and Uber Eats, and I don't think either are going to deliver Raising Cane's. So I had to go to my other show, Audible, for Friday when I'm recording this now, which is Jersey Mike's, the buffalo chicken cheesesteak sandwich, which Sam raves about, and I think is absolutely amazing. He said it's better than Wawa's. I have not had Wawa's. I have to agree. But nonetheless, Sam should have partaken in some Raising Cane's, I think, in studio. I'm glad he took home the leftovers to enjoy. And my God, Savis just giving Sam bottle service, some bottles on ice in the studio of Faygo, the Insane Clown Posse soda. Some say pop. I guess people in the Midwest say pop. I go against the grain. I say soda. But some soda I've not tried yet. If you let me know in the comments how you guys make a Faygo if you've had it. It looks good. I like some sugary sodas sometimes, but I'm just glad that Sam had his Sammy brand muffin staples, Raising Cane's, Faygo on ice. I know he enjoyed them all at home, but best of all, it was so amazing and I don't know if he was on Sam's night show before, when it was Jim and Opie doing the show for that little bit. But the first time I met and got to hear Sam's dad, and my God, was he amazing. Mr. Roberts is now a show legend. I mean, just an absolute character. Hilarious, kind of just says what's on his mind. Smart, we've heard about his outstanding advertising career that kind of took the Roberts around the globe, living in a few locations. And it was really cool just to hear him talk about advertising and what he thought of a couple campaigns. And Haley Steinfeld was in that kid getting sucked into a Coke bottle, I think she was in that commercial, he said, and she's a major star now. So we got to work with her in addition to doing some other great things, but just a hilarious, awesome guy. And we've heard legends of the mustache. If you look on Jim and Sam's socials, you see the mustache. It is legendary. It's absolutely legendary. At one point, just when they're riffing and Sam's dad hung with the guys on everything and usually throughout the funniest line when he was in the studio, but Bobby Kelly just goes, there was a pause and Bobby Kelly goes, "Your dad is wild." I thought that was hilarious. And I don't know if this was, there's no pictures of this on social, but the guys did say, I think, I forgot who said it, but they said that, no, I think Sam's dad said that he brought Don Perignon, I think I said that right, with a little bit of a French accent, into the studio. And I don't know if that was true or not, but I wouldn't put it past him. Such a fine gentleman. Travis also, I mean, and maybe this should have been mentioned first, for Sam's birthday, but mostly for Sam's dad, brought in buttermilk. We've heard Sam's dad loves buttermilk with cups, as some partook in it, which was outstanding, and sardines. We've heard that Sam's dad loves buttermilk and sardines. So glad those were in studio. I think Sam's dad declined the sardines. I believe he was missing a condiment that he enjoys having with them, but just outstanding. And, I have said that Sam, obviously, I think his sense of humor is a bit underrated. I've said that Sam's naturally funny, but I think a lot of the amazing comics that came through ONA, that still come through Jim and Sam, the newer generation, your Mark Normans or whoever you want to cite, I think that humor and that quickness, especially with Jim, has rubbed off on Sam, which I still think is true. But I think now we see that hilarity and an outstanding sense of humor is in Sam's blood, because his dad was absolutely hilarious. And speaking of hilarious, always funny, always lovely, always interesting, Soraya was in on Thursday, and feel like she hasn't been on the show as much lately. We know she's traveling with Jim, which yielded an amazing story. She's been traveling with Jim to take video and probably some photos for his social and video for his YouTube, which is great. It's a gig. Jim could use that help. He should have his own media empire, I feel like. But Soraya, going on a 5-day trip with Jim, said that she hasn't traveled in a while. I believe it was a decade. I believe she said since 2013, on a plane at least. So she was a bit discombobulated with how to pack for said trip. I believe this was a trip just to Austin, because they talked about doing Rogan's Club, the comedy mothership. And she used her bags. I think there was two, and I think she carried them on, but two bags for computer, which she needs, uploading the images, videos, editing them, and also all the camera equipment, which I could see if you're taking a lot, you have some backups that could fill a bag or two. I get that. Where she cut out the riffraff with her packing was maybe a cause for concern, in that she did not pack any clothes. She wore these same clothes for 5 days. And we're used to her being unique. Soraya is very unique. She kind of marches to the beat of her own drum, which adds to her appeal and has made her a Jim and Sam fan favorite. So while discussing her wearing the same clothes for 5 days, Jim did say that there was still no odor. Soraya smelled fine. I don't know if that was the case. If I wore the same clothes for 5 days, I think there would obviously be a horrible, horrible odor, as there would be with most people. But we also learned in this discussion that Soraya showers only 2 to 3 times a week. And I know there's a whole thing with women not washing their hair sometimes. It helps their hair to not wash it every time. I don't know. I'm not going to go into the standards of hygiene based on gender. That's just not something I'm an expert in or feel comfortable dissecting myself. But this is where I started to get concerned about Soraya. First, just having one outfit for 5 days, then learning she only bathes 2 to 3 times a week. And then in light of that, we hear that she's doing some kind of dating or was part of some kind of thing that has to do with an arranged marriage or meeting someone that you might have an arranged marriage with. And the guys literally, I think just about every guy chimed in studio, having to explain why it's not a great idea in the United States in 2023 to consider an arranged marriage. Very surprised to hear that she entertained this. I think she's past it. I think it was just a thing that happened recently and she's over it, but I hope she doesn't jump back in. I mean, Soraya is a very bright, talented young lady who I imagine you get a sense she's very independent, can do things on her own. She doesn't need that. And as Jim said, what if you don't like the way they look or smell or something? You're stuck with someone who you just met, don't know a lot about. Dating, obviously, it takes some getting used to someone before dedicating your life to them. So a little surprised by the clothing that she traveled with, or lack of, I should say, and the hygiene, I guess, and also considering, at least for a little bit, an arranged marriage. I hope Soraya is okay. I hope some sense was talked into her, and that she fixes these elements of her life. Two awesome things. Full marks to Soraya with these. First, and Sam tried to correct her. She says Cheyenne. I don't know about you guys. Please comment in the comments. Let me know how you stand on this. But I like when she says Cheyenne. We hear a lot of hot dog. His real first name, Cheyenne, in the way you can kind of say it and emphasize it, just as funny as saying hot dog. You could argue funnier because it's not used as much as hot dog on the show. So I hope Sam jumped in, tried to correct her a little bit. Let's let her be the Cheyenne person. Let her call Mr. Marte. See, no one says that. I can say that. Let her call hot dog Cheyenne. It makes my day when she does it. She does it in a very funny way. Soraya is very funny. She knows what's funny, I believe, as well. Very happy to hear, and I had forgot that there was some kind of introduction with her, and that she would be working with Trauma a little bit. We know the Trauma films that Zach Amico is also a part of, and she played. I don't know the standards of practice for this. Maybe she jumped the gun a little bit, but we heard Soraya's scream in an upcoming Troma horror movie. She screamed, and I'm not like Sam. I'm not that dedicated to the horror genre, but I am a fan. Some of the new movies that have been at theaters lately, I definitely want to check out. I do like horror. I appreciate what Troma does. And her scream was fantastic. She got the stamp of approval from Sam and everyone in studio. Sam is an expert on the horror genre. I thought it was great. I was very impressed by it. I wouldn't mind hearing about and seeing Soraya do more of this kind of work. I could see her being a great actress. She's very kind of artsy. We hear that she, in her apartment, I believe she dances. I could see her rehearsing some lines, and I know she spends time moving to different sitting chairs in her apartment as well. So yeah, let's do some more screams. Let's get some lines. I think Soraya would be a great actress. I'd love to see her do that. I can see her being very theatrical. Let's go to now best guest. And we talk about all the time. And it's interesting reading some of the comments online, I think on our YouTube page. And also there's a Jim and Sam Reddit page I forget about to check out. And people were talking there, kind of what Chris and I say, is that when it's not a guest heavy week, that's okay, because a lot of times the best part of the show, the best part of the show is when the guys just riff, break down current events, goof on each other, talk about Sam working with hot dog, talk about domesticated Jim, airplane Jimmy, whatever, Travis's crazy swinger life that he has with the Biggins, what Troy's doing, what Montone's doing. It's just, there's always so much there. And the guys are so good at knowing what's interesting, when to keep something going. They're all very funny. They have good takes on things. So yeah, if it's just current events or whatever's going on with the guys, them talking is amazing. I know all of us, you guys too, could listen to it for hours. But with that said, guests this week were great. Kim Congdon, I mentioned earlier, very funny, can hang in there, get a little blue with Jim. There was an interesting, I don't think she realized how she looked in her outfit. There was an interesting tweet on the show's socials you can look at, and she did interact with, I think she retweeted it with a caption. She was surprised by, let's just say, how she looked in her outfit after the show. But another good appearance for Kim. She's kind of new to the show, new generation of comics. And I don't know if I'm saying this gentleman's name right. Forgive me. Either Sean Reck or Sean Retch, probably Reck, I would imagine, made the new Daily Wire doc series. I believe it's called Convicting a Murderer, kind of what the documentary on Netflix, Making a Murderer, left out. So Convicting a Murderer on Daily Wire. Candace Owens is a part of it as well. She narrated it. I believe she may have produced it. But it sounds great. I'm gonna check it out this weekend, because this is the thing. And Sean had said he watched, probably as research for the documentary, the interview that Jim and Sam did with Ken Kratz, the prosecuting attorney in the Sean Avery case. So it was very interesting, not only that Sean discovered that from the show. Another great, the guys are capable. That Ken Kratz interview was fantastic, because Jim and Sam both had opinions about what was left out of the documentary, and it was something they were interested in. So that was a fantastic. I think they do great interviews when it's something that's in their wheelhouse. Like this interview with Sean, but again, we love when they talk, but I think they also do great interviews too. And this interview with Sean with this new doc series was one of them. Some great stuff about what he found, how the Avery family wasn't probably painted in the right light in the original doc. I didn't know that the mother passed away. Prayers up, big RIP, shout out, as Sam would say. But it sounds like there's a lot there. Sounds like there was a lot that was left out. Sean did a ton of research. I'm going to check this doc out. He was a great guest. I'm still fascinated by that case. I think Netflix, whether they did the right thing or not, left stuff out or not, they got us all hooked on it. I did watch season 2 with Catherine Zellner talks on the side of her mouth, as Jim likes to do. Another hilarious Jimmy impression. Kathleen Zellner, I think is her name. But yeah, no, Sean was great. Gonna check out the doc. Now Bobby Kelly, again, Bobby's there so much, and he's so good with mics and podcasting and radio. I almost don't consider him a guest. Let's give him a guest this time. He was a special guest for Sam's birthday in studio when the show started on Wednesday. And that's no disrespect. I just consider him like another host because he's such good friends with Jim and Sam now too. It seems they're both out and around the Bestchester. But great to have Bobby there. He's hilarious. Again, love the rub down from Montone. But there is absolutely no question who the best guest was this week. It's Mr. Brand Muffins himself, Sam's dad, Mr. Roberts. What a legend. We've been hearing for a couple of years now, anytime advertising is brought up, oh yeah, we should book him on the show. And again, pat on the back, full marks to Travis. Got Mr. Roberts in one of their GOAT interviews and show moments. Fascinating, awesome guy. It worked out so well. And I thought he was gonna be more reserved. I thought he was gonna be a little more like Sam, but just a riot, just a hilarious guy who seems like a great guy. So good on everybody for having him in. I'm sure he really appreciated it. Sure, it meant a lot for him to be there on Sam's 40th birthday, the show that he's done, his son's done a great job with. So really cool. And I think, I'm going to, my tinfoil Jim and Sam hat, I'm going to put it on a little for this appearance because I think it's something that Travis, I do think Sam was surprised by it. I think this was all Travis. I think Travis made this happen because we still hear occasionally that Jim says, there's not going to be another contract. So the show, I think we got a year left. So that might be it. Good time to get Sam's dad in just to make it happen, just to make sure we have that moment as the listeners. And it was great radio. And Sam and his dad got to have that moment too. So very special, very cool. Again, great job, Travis and everybody with having Mr. Roberts in here. Now let's go to line of the week. There was a certain, I'm not going to say too much about it, but I know we're gonna hear from Chris soon here. I know he likes to give finalists sometimes. I did have a finalist, but I took it out. There was you go back and listen. There was a comment Sam's dad made about certain people in the Hollywood Hills that was a finalist for my line of the week. If you go back and listen, that was one of them. But my absolute line of the week has to be when Soraya was in studio and they played her scream in the Trauma movie. Jim goes, Travis has heard that from a woman before. Just amazing. And the way it was such like a long, crazy, unique scream. Again, Jim's timing right after the audio played. And there's just something with that scream and how fast Jimmy said it, that it was absolutely the line of the week. Probably made me laugh the hardest this week. And right now, we're going to go to the man himself. Chris Cangilla in Colorado has some stuff to share. Let's go to Chris for his take on Mr. Roberts and for Chris's line of the week.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, I'm coming to you from Estes Park, Colorado. It's great being here. And
it was so cool. We came around the corner and saw this family of elk. And of course, that family is the females, which are the cows, and then their babies. And this majestic creature, the big bull, taking care of that whole group. And, probably the dad. So there's a lot of dad theme stuff going on.
I'll tell you what, it was wonderful to have Mr. Roberts part of the show this last week. It's interesting that I'm coming to you from Colorado, my home state, and I'm here with my three brothers, one of which is my brother who I did the podcast with, my World War II dad. So a lot of dad stuff coming on here in our Jim and Sam Town Square. So anyway, Mr. Roberts, great stories about when he was in the ad game and all the stuff and how he fit in and the stuff with Bob. That was just wonderful. So for my line of the week, it goes back to Sam and Sam's birthday. The guys were actually giving Bob grief about his Instagram ad and being an influencer on Instagram. And Jim said, I haven't seen the ad yet. And the guys were theorizing why possibly that didn't happen, because Jim is probably watching beheading videos on YouTube. And then Sam had the line. He said, no, it didn't happen because Bob's Instagram ad didn't happen during the Dick Cavett show in 1976. Great line. Great week of shows. Sorry I missed it. Can't wait to break down next week's show with you when I get back. From colorful Colorado, I'll see you guys later.
Chris, awesome to hear from you. Thanks so much and have an awesome rest of your trip. And thank all you guys for watching and listening. as always. And as Chris would usually say, next week, we'll see you right here in the town square. Thanks for watching and listening to the Jim and Sam Town Square. Please remember to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell, not dog bell, so you don't miss an episode.
And if you're just listening to the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it.